A reflection on masks and COVID-19. Remember Charles Dickens' opening sentence in The Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times and the worst of times. That's what it feels like now. We seem to be heading for a dystopia. When a government suspends normal human freedoms to deal with a perceived external threat, it triggers a course of action which can be highly dangerous. The courts have been given no role to examine the merits of such a justification. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, as Lord Acton has reminded us. There are two precedents in history which remind us of the folly of mobilising electorates on a mass scale. One is World War I, in which nationalism was hyped to a level of danger that European powers exploded into a conflict as the trains headed for the front. It was human slaughter on a new scale. For example, in the first day of the Battle of the Somme, more died than in all of the French Revolution. The second precedent is the German elections of 1932. The Nazis actually lost 34 seats with 37% of the vote, as people had begun to see through them. However, they still seized power in January 1933. Then, in a referendum in August 1934, the Nazis were given absolute power by 90% yes vote on a turnout of 96%. Again, they were mobilised by state propaganda on the basis of a perceived external threat: communism. Look what has happened now. Niall Ferguson, Britain's health expert, on the basis of junk software, told Boris Johnson 500,000 will be dead in March. Johnson did what most leaders did. He panicked instead of being guided by wisdom and common sense, and brought in the disastrous lockdown, which was predicted to kill at least 200,000 people in Britain alone this year. And, of course, Leo Varadkar made the same prediction and blunder. There has been no significant increase in the net number of registered deaths during these months of this alleged crisis. For example, in April 2020, there were 2,689 deaths. In April 2019, it was 2,599. And in April 2018, it was 2,940. Not a plague, but a typical seasonal flu. In short, it's a hoax. Let's deal with the masks. I went to SuperValu to do my shopping last week. Nearly everybody had a mask there, unlike the previous two shops I was in. It was like being part of an episode of The Twilight Zone. I'm thinking of two episodes in particular: the masks and pig masks, where you are normal and everyone around you is behaving abnormally. I reached out for my TV remote control, but this was real. It was so oppressive as eyes glared towards you, as if from George Orwell's 1984 novel. It was so terrifying I could not get out fast enough. However, it's when you look into the eyes of the older people it really strikes you how damaging all of this is. We now know of the terrible outcome in the nursing and so-called care homes. The view of their eyes brings to me memories of looking at old newsreels of the old Jewish women as they stood at the railway stations that would bring them to the Nazi concentration camps. Fear stalks the land, and sadly the churches where they should find sanctuary are just as covered with those awful yellow signs. Jesus said 365 times, "Do not be afraid," one for every day of the year. In 2018, they stripped the unborn of their humanity and all their human rights. Now they are coming for us. The deaf could hear and read people through body language, but they are now deaf again. Terrible bad habits have been allowed to take root. Social distancing is profoundly anti-Christian and is the foundation of hostility. If you muzzle a dog, he can get very cross. We are all seen as potential infectors and therefore an enemy. Approaching a stranger, you are likely to be snapped at and treated with contempt. Normal friendly relations are gone out the window. Masks deprive us of our humanity and render us futile in communicating with others tenderly. There are just three important things in life: love, truth, and beauty. When a surgeon wears a mask, you know he is going to attack your body, but in a benign way. A bank robber covers his face to deceive you. When a face is hidden, how can their good looks be displayed? When is this nightmare going to end?